If we go to China, people in China can buy a car from Germany if they want to. We call that open markets. The markets are open for each country. Now, the WTO is also important. Not only because countries agree to not discriminate, but it also allows for special rules for less developed countries. And here's where we can discuss Thailand today. Thailand sells a lot of fisheries products to the US. In fact, last night, I found a wonderful article published here at this university about the quality, the high quality of Thai fisheries. Thai fisheries are very, very popular in the US. The shrimp that comes from Thailand is considered among the best in the entire world. This article that I just mentioned, it's about the quality of the shrimp. Now, take that example. Thailand sends that shrimp to the US, and we in the US get to have that shrimp in our food. Other countries also get to sell their shrimp, especially India and Ecuador. Is their shrimp as good as Thailand? No. The quality here is very, very high. The WTO wants to make sure the market is open across the world so that the people in the US can buy shrimp from Thailand, but they can also buy shrimp from India if they really want to. Or they can buy certain fisheries from Ecuador. It's a way to allow for markets to compete. And if you're a less developed country, the US will give you a special preference. It will allow you to bring your products to the United States. Over the last 10 years, Thailand and the US have been very, very good trading partners. Very good. This involves billions of dollars. I believe the US is one of the top 10 countries that Thailand sends its fisheries to. Now, just when you think I'm showing you such a positive, wonderful story, there is a dark side to this story. And I think all of you, if you had an opportunity, it would be very good to follow this story. About 1 month ago, the United States told Thailand, we are not going to allow you to keep sending your fisheries to the US unless you start paying a certain kind of a tax, a certain tax. Why would the US do this? What is going on? Is this another crazy idea? You have that word in Thai, crazy. Is this another crazy idea? The US is upset because Thailand very recently created a complete prohibition on certain chemicals. Chemicals that are used in killing plants. Thailand adopted that new standard to prohibit the use of these chemicals. The chemicals have been shown to cause cancer. So in my opinion, Thailand has every reason to prohibit the use of those chemicals. Why is the United States upset? The chemicals are made by a very, 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 very big company that does a lot of its work in the U.S. And it's looking a lot like the current U.S. president is trying to punish Thailand for prohibiting the use of chemicals from the U.S. This is an example of how trade can be used to discriminate against another country. And it is completely contrary to the very purpose of open markets. Let's go back to the very, very beginning. Remember sovereignty? Thailand is a sovereign country. Thailand has every right to make laws about chemicals. And if another country, a great big country, the United States, is telling Thailand what to do with those chemicals, it should be through negotiation. It should be through cooperation. It should be through conferences. It should be through meetings. It should not be through trade discrimination. Trade discrimination is not in the best interest of the United States. It's not in the best interest of Thailand. I hope from that example you can see there are many, many, many difficult issues in trade, but this recent matter between Thailand and the U.S. shows the importance of sovereignty, Thailand's sovereignty, and the problem if one big country is using its power to influence the chemicals that are used here, when we know, we're pretty sure those chemicals are very, very harmful to public health. What I propose to do is briefly summarize what we've discussed and then leave you today with an important quotation. The story of the environment is also the story of trade. They go together. And both environment and trade have ways to further our cooperation throughout the entire world. Environment brings us closer together. Trade brings us closer together. There are definitely difficult issues like climate change, like chemicals that may be harmful. But whether it's the story of environment, the story of trade, or the story of both, the answer to any of these problems is cooperation, negotiation, and countries meeting together to create very, very powerful results that are good for each one of those countries. This is the UN system. We've had it since 1945, and we need that system more than ever. This is also the system of the WTO, and we need the WTO system as well. I look at all of you today, and I think about your future. And I think about you are the leaders of tomorrow. And you are citizens of the world, the first generation to be citizens connected in environment and trade, with the internet, with all of the resources you have. No generation has ever had what you have. With all of this opportunity, this responsibility, it will be your responsibility to help us make good decisions, to help us look at the very purpose of environment, trade, and the UN. Cooperation, cooperation, cooperation. I will just finish today with this one quotation. I think this one quotation can summarize everything we've discussed today. Everything. We had a great president in the 1960s, President Kennedy, and in a very brilliant speech in 1963, this is what he said. And as long as there's civilization on earth will have these words, these are the words. Would everybody just look up here? Can I ask you to just look up here? Students, I know that it's been a long session. If you could just look up here. I'm talking to you. Please put away that icon, would you? We're just about finished. President Kennedy said, we all live on the same planet. We all breathe the same air. We all love our children. And we are all mortal. What he said in 1963 applies perfectly today. We are interdependent. We are global citizens. And it's up to us to work together as global citizens. Thank you for adapting today. I completely understand that my approach is different from what you're used to. But the importance of a visitor is to show you a different way of thinking.